So it's Monday. Definitely feels like a blue Monday, but only because the weekend was really hectic. Didn't go to sleep very early at all last night. Too much on my mind. But in this video, I'm going to be giving you 3 things that a seller needs to reconsider before listing their property. There are a number of property owners out there that are looking for ways to increase the value of their properties to get the best return on their investment once they decide to sell. But in a buyer's market, which is what we are currently in at the moment, there are certain things that owners are doing that's actually making it more difficult, not only for them to get the price that they ask for, but actually to get the property sold at all. Number 1 is building and renovating. Okay, so why could it be a problem to renovate or build onto your property? Isn't that obviously going to add value and make the property worth more? Most definitely. There's nothing wrong with that. The difficulty comes in when you're in a buyer's market like we are in now, and your reason for doing the renovation or your reason for building on is to sell the property at the best possible price. So the problem with that is something that I've discussed before in some of my other videos. So if you're living in a particular area where the average price for the last 5 properties that have been sold is somewhere around 1.2 million, right? And you go and decide to do some renovations or some building onto the property, maybe turning it into a double story, a triple story, or adding in another section at the back of the house, or whatever the case may be, that now pushes the value up on your property, and that's what you've intended to do. So now it's no longer worth 1.2 million, it's now worth 1.7 million, for example. When you go and put that property on the market, those potential buyers who are looking to buy in that particular area know that the going rate at the moment in that area is about 1.2 million. So there's actually a chance that when you go and list it at 1.7, they might not even see your listing at all, because they've preset the search criteria for that particular range at 1.2 million in your area. So they might not even see your listing at all. Number 2, because they know that the average price for the rest of the properties in the area are going to be at 1.2 million, even if yours does look good, wouldn't it make sense for the buyer to rather go to the property down the road that maybe doesn't look as grand, it doesn't have these fantastic renovations that you've done or the add-ons that you've done, get the property at 1.2 million and do the work on it themselves to make it look as good as yours? So in a buyer's market, doing those renovations, building on, can actually make it more difficult for you to sell your property. So always make sure that you know what's going on in your market, and don't just think that because I'm making my house look nice, that means people are going to want to buy it because it looks better than Johnny's house down the road. Do your homework and find out what's really going on in your market. What are people really willing to pay in the area? What have people what have houses gone for in the last year, or at least in the last 6 months? And that should give you an idea of the best market-related price to set your property at when selling. Number 2, and this is not one that's going to relate to many people. This is really only going to be for the few people who are going green, as they say, right? And this is solar panels on your property. Obviously looking for green ways to source energy, and obviously something that's saves money on things like electricity, seeing that Eskom is being so ridiculous with the electricity prices. Anyway, there are those who actually add the solar panels onto their properties in the hopes of it increasing the value of their property when selling. But the problem with that is that there isn't really a standard to compare that to, because it's not something that's very common. So you might be the only house in 3 blocks in your area that's got solar panels. So how do we actually add a value to that when it's difficult and there's nothing to compare it to? right? The other reason why it's also not always the best idea, if it's not something that's common in the area that you're staying in, is that the cost of doing it can sometimes be around 600,000 Rand. Now, it's not always that price, but I'm just giving you an example. So you go and add 600,000 Rand's worth of work onto your property, thinking that it's going to make it worth a lot more, and therefore mean that you're going to sell the property for so much more than Uncle John down the road. It's not really going to happen that way, because there are some people who might look for a green home, but it's still not common enough in most areas. If it's in the right area, you could possibly still get away with it. So check and see what's going on in your area again. Find out if solar panels are something that's popular or not. And if it isn't, rather don't do it if you're thinking of doing it to help increase the value of your property when selling down the road. Number 3 is one that's often overlooked, but underestimated in terms of the amount of value that it can add to the price of a property, and that's just to have the place repainted. You can do the repainting yourself if you don't want to pay somebody else to do it, but just a touch-up of paint can make such a difference. In fact, there's actually a quote by a top real estate investor who says that it takes 3 seconds for a potential buyer to make up their minds about whether they want to buy the property that they're coming to view or not. Just 3 seconds. So when you look at your property from the outside, you may be fine with it because you've seen it for so many years. It's always been the way that it is. It's the color that you particularly liked. But that might not be what the potential buyer is going to see or think when they look at your property. So that touch-up of paint can make a big difference. And when deciding on colors for painting, if you're doing it before listing, which is a really good idea, try to stick to neutral colors. But if the sale of the property is subject to certain conditions or subject to certain work being done on the property, like having it repainted or taking out the carpets, always make sure that you liaise with the potential buyer about the tiles that you're going to use, or the carpets that you're going to use, or the color that you're going to use to repaint the property. Okay? Simple things that can make a very big difference is those little touch-ups that can add so much value and make it so much more attractive, and in that way get the best possible price for your property. Hope that you enjoyed the video. That's 3 things to consider before listing your property for sale. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this, and please share this with at least one friend that you know.